Hello everybody, today I wanted to do a bit of a different video, especially because number one, this character is already kind of a few weeks, I think, or maybe like a couple weeks out after her post-buff change, and a lot of people are wondering whether or not this character is good or bad. I'm here to give you a couple of insights or different perspectives about why Ruwana is good in certain situations, but definitely overrated or definitely not as good as you think in others. There is going to be, again, some footage that I'm just basically describing or I'm showing through either my match history or through match histories of friends that I've seen. But ultimately, Requiem Ruwana, if you're not familiar with her, just got buffed so that now, number one, her S2 is it's not limited to once per turn. So now if you have a character that takes 2 turns, i.e. someone like Rand, you can now increase the combat readiness of Ruwana by 2 turns, or by 100% instead of 50 formerly, if there was some, like, some cut, or 200% if you aren't fighting against someone like Yufine. But she also had her S3 change to now dispel 1 buff, which is really important, 1 buff, in addition to also having her damage not be stacking anymore. And a lot of people, when they heard this, were thinking of one of 2 things. Number one, they were thinking, wow, absolutely ridiculous that you can now strip on her S3, because that's pretty much what I think a lot of people saw as a low-hanging fruit on how to fix this character. But then number 2, they thought, wow, it is a Dispel 1 buff strip in that sense. So if you have something like Protection Set, or if you have a barrier and then, Guiding Light characters have something like Immunity, are you even able to actually make use of this? Because then, again, if you aren't familiar with it, characters like Lua alongside, or characters like Lua are countered by immunity plus barriers. So the question then is Ruwana actually good enough, or can she actually break through the barriers with the enhanced S3 damage? So as you can see here, the build that I have here is the actual standard Requiem Ruwana build, and you'll see why in a second why I prefer this one. And for the most part, I just use this Requiem Ruwana build. I do want to mention that, again, I don't have like a 6,000 attack Ruwana build, but that's probably what you're thinking of right now, or some hybrid variation of very high attack alongside like decent effectiveness, maybe 130, 150, in order to break the barriers and reset characters. That's likely something that you were maybe thinking of when it comes to whether or not it's worth it, or whether or not like this is actually good. And so I just wanted to point out, or I just want to show you a few clips that I have of me testing it out to actually see if Requiem Ruwana's S3 is as uncounterable, or if the character is as ridiculous as she looks. Now let me make sure, let me find it really quick. So the first clip that I'm going to be showing here is Requiem Ruwana with, it's going to be Requiem Ruwana in this Zeo match that I basically have here. So as you can see here, Zeo takes the turn first, and of course I'm just kind of doing this to see if you have someone like General Purgus on Protection Set, and you have characters, it could be anyone honestly, between like the different Guiding Light characters, if they have immunity and barrier, are you able to actually break the barrier or like break their set? And as you can see here, the S3 will push my Veronica ahead, or maybe not like necessarily directly push them ahead, but with the addition of General Purgus's push, or with the addition of getting pushed basically by Ruwana's S3, there's a chance here that if I don't end up stripping or breaking the barrier, that Veronica will just cut ahead. And as you can see, she's got her cooldowns, everything's kind of chilling here. No one got reset. Or my 2 openers, I should say, got reset or didn't get reset. And the Spectre Tenebria, my Spectre Tenebria doesn't have immunity, but if she did, obviously she wouldn't get reset as well. That doesn't really, I apologize, matter too much. But as you can see here, this Ruwana didn't actually end up breaking the barrier. And you may be thinking to yourself again, like, well, Connor, how much attack does it have? Like, my 8,000 attack Ruwana, actually breaks. And the honest to God truth is that, well, if you take a look at this Ruwana build that I was given, or basically shown, this is about as high attack as the average person is honestly going to be able to find. Ignore the crit set, like that's just whatever he had for highest attack. But 6,000 attack and 130 effectiveness while also having immunity because of some like specific cheese tech. that this individual Ruwana is used for is pretty high value. Now, again, a lot of people that I've seen have been trying to run her super max attack, but the barrier didn't break. Now, again, you could argue, oh, like, General Purgus on Protza, has maybe a little bit more health than other things. But the consensus is there, guys. It's not that easy to actually break protection set barriers. You can have an even higher HP character, by the way, like someone like Eaton or something, and Ruwana will not break the barrier even more so because Eaton will have more health than a General Purgus. But long story short, this character is definitely someone that kind of struggles a little bit, specifically against protection set. And if you're in the specific Zeo trap that I'm describing, and if you aren't familiar with the Zeo trap, long story short, what the Zeo trap is that it is when Zeo is forced to hit someone like General Purgus or Christie or Aiden, and then when Zeo is forced to hit this target, your enemy or the Zeo player's team gets punished for it. Whether that's hitting Aiden and the entire team explodes, whether that's General Purgus and other characters get to go ahead of your Ran or the rest of your slow units. Whatever it is, that is a term that I like to affectionately call Zeo Trap, and most people, if you're familiar with fighting against Zeo now, that's what they call the Zeo Trap. But I do want to mention that, again, anecdotally, this is another match that someone had mentioned about the Ruwana, and this is why Ruwana actually has some value here. Now, again, if you aren't familiar with the Faithless Litica draft, a lot of people like to pick Faithless Litica and Veronica against Zeo in order to hide, and they have some flexibility. But the idea behind this, and again, I apologize, I don't have the exact draft, but I do have this image for specifically what happened in the match. There's no Abyssal Euphine, there's no Candy, there's no Bellion. And the reason why Ruwana here was so impactful is because, number one, she had immunity, right? This specific, Ruwana here has immunity. And the reason why this is so important is because the Ruwana here literally S3s and isn't able to be reset again by like a character like Faithless Litica, and Zeo or like the Sage Ball gets to sleep or gets to push back the Death Dealer Ray. Any of these different variations could have happened. But long story short, the Ruwana here actually ended up having a bit of value because, again, you reset this whole team. Death Dealer Ray can't press anything. And given that, again, you can pair this with a character like Zeo, there are some scenarios where Ruwana's new reset and the strip thing is relevant. Because if not, for instance, in this case, let's say the enemy had banned Sage Ball or something had happened when the Sage Ball didn't end up stripping, Ruwana wouldn't do anything here. Now, again, I know that might sound kind of niche, and you would be right. The honest to God truth is that Ruwana is a bit of a niche pick, and for what she's strong for, she's strong in certain scenarios where, again, you're able to reset someone by one turn, and you can propel your team ahead, or if you have someone like Ludwig, she's really good because her Soul Burn also helps him out. Like, you def break a target, you can def break someone like General Purgus, and then, maybe your Ludwig will cut and you can start one-shotting. But the general consensus about this character is that regardless of what build you're running on her, I believe that high effectiveness is very, very, very important because, again, if you are going to be picking this Ruwana character and the enemy, the enemy opponent for whatever reason doesn't end up having protection set, you can end up resetting basically anyone that's put behind a Christie, a General Purgus, whoever it is, and having the effectiveness, in my opinion, is nice for those fringe cases where you don't want someone like Faithless Litica to just, or, some random character to have enough random effect resistance that they don't get pushed back. Whatever it is, I think that high effectiveness for me is what I value the most. I like being able to reset things. I like being able to reset characters like the Stina or whoever it is with this Ruwana character. And as you can see, that's the build that I have right now for her. But again, if you do want to try the hybrid variation build of like 6k attack and 150 effectiveness, and you are not going to be fighting against someone like Christie, I can definitely see the value in it. But just for me, I like her to, again, have a little bit of damage, have a little bit of bulk, but also have high effectiveness for more general purposes. But again, like I mentioned, whether or not you'll actually pick this character, it's a little tough to say. Now, again, she in her niche is very, very good. She does, again, strip and reset an entire team and push back by, I believe it's 30%. That's like literally what Basar does, by the way, if any of you guys even remember who that character is. And that, alongside having the book and being able to pretty much push ahead of anyone at this point, makes her just invaluable. Now, again, I don't even have to tell you, but if you do end up pairing her with a character like Ran, this is absolutely ridiculous, because if for whatever reason you get a character like Ran, he can S2, and there's zero chance that anyone, including someone like Sageball, can even cut her. But this is kind of just what I wanted to mention, kind of wanted to bring up when it comes to how good this Ruwana character is. I apologize again. Trying to find footage specifically for Ruwana is much more difficult than you would think, actually. Just because most of the time she gets banned, or like, you know, again, you end up fighting against Protset and you just instantly lose. And what's the point of, you know, seeing that on the ladder when I could just show you why that's a bad draft, or why there's a lot of holes in that game plan when it comes to picking Ruwana against or with Zeo. But anyways, guys, I apologize. This was a little bit of a ramble video, but again, I just wanted to kind of get out my thoughts on recommend Ruwana, because I've heard a lot of people ask if this character is good. I picked her on certain occasions, or I've definitely fought against her on certain occasions. And even if I just, again, I guess show you like one of my like quick matches with her. Let me see. Oh man, oh yeah, here it is. So like in one of the matches that I had here, the Ruwana even ends up like literally doing nothing here, because again, they were trying to pick like this character early, and like, I don't know, they were trying to do some knock wall stuff. It just doesn't really do anything for the match. And now obviously like he can S2 or he can cleanse here, but I've got, you know, I've got like plenty of ways to basically deal with this guy. This is literally a DPS knock wall, by the way, which is why this draft looks super goofy and it looks like he drafted no damage. But in any case, you know, bing, bang, boom, things ended up being okay for me in the end anyways. But long story short, guys, I just kind of wanted to point out the fact that Ruwana, though buffed, and though they did give her arguably like the best or like the most obvious change to her in order to gain max value, she unfortunately is still kind of niche, and in my opinion, pretty much only usable with Zeo when you're fighting against people that are trying to Zeo trap. But again, you have to be a little bit careful, because if the Zeo trappers have barrier set, you just instantly lose. Anyways, like I said, guys, that's going to be it for this video, though. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, turn the notification bell, and subscribe. I appreciate all the support for all the content that I've been doing, guys. Thank you again so much for watching. I'll be streaming, of course, on YouTube and Twitch, probably by the time you're seeing this. But thanks again, guys, for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one. Check out the rest of my socials. Good night.